Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and this evening, we are lucky to be having one of our leaders, Honorable Kennedy Ondiek. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Benson. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It has been a while ever since we had a conversation with you.
Long time. How is the US?
We are managing, and also I might say, we are doing fine. I cannot complain.
I am told Trump wants to to deport you people, but
Yes,
we are already feeling the Trump effect in Kenya. Man.
home is home. Home is the best. If you're told to come home, home is the only place whereby
Mm,
you can find love. So it is not something that can depress you so much, because at the end of the day you are coming back to your homeland and your families are all there, and we know how families are very loving. They'll just welcome you. So we are not so much. Yes. So that is what I might say.
mm. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much. I think in Kenya we are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, only with a lot of challenges as usual, and with the problem of governance, which is always there, and serious lack of jobs,
Yeah.
joblessness. In fact, Kenya is almost coming to a standstill in the near future because the jobless people are going to demand for their jobs.
What is costing that, by the way? What is making it to lack those jobs? Because you are speaking a language that people might be wondering, because you're one person who was praising this government. Why again the change of mind? When did this Damascus moment came into your life?
Yeah, it's good. You have said there's usually a Damascus moment, and
Yeah.
basically, I used to serve in terms of speaking for the government and on behalf of government in different media houses.
Yeah.
The reason being, some of us were convinced, and I think you also know my party leader, Malipa, who was the head of such program.
Yeah.
We were strictly convinced that we were serving a government which had the people's interest at heart. But based on the policies that were put in place and the ideas that were put in place, but you realize that in the long run, Brother Benson, sometimes I could even address you here.
Yeah.
But when I listen, most of my friends DM me. They tell me, "Oh, Buana, whatever you are saying doesn't seem to be correct." There are times I went to the media defending finance bill. In fact, it was very horrible that I was on television defending finance bill only for the president to withdraw that finance bill in the evening.
Yeah.
Just like it was funny one day I was busy defending a Adani deal only for the government to abdicate from it. When he was still on television defending it, he's busy defending it on TV, and the president is busy withdrawing it from State House.
Yeah.
So sometimes you realize that there's a lot of lies in the system, to the extent that sometimes you even ask yourself, what are you saying? By the way, sometimes there's a show I did with you when I was from inside my house,
Yeah.
and when my wife was listening to me talk, she was like, "Are you? What are you saying? Are you sure of what you're saying?" Things are not good. So when I was told the Shah, when we came to the government, that's why I've written a book which I don't know I'm publishing,
Yeah.
called the puppets revolution, from spinning to revolution,
Yeah.
because we were more of puppets. If you speak for the government, this nonsense of collective responsibility denied us our personal rights of opinion,
Mhm.
to the extent that you could only address matters as they appeared,
Yeah.
but actually we could not address. Oh, someone is calling me here.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. We are
Oh,
just waiting for.
so,
Okay.
so you realize that we could not sometimes speak what resonates with the people. So, in my own opinion, I went back after I'm done with the interviews. Sometimes I could research, I could find out, because some of these spinning things, you are given data when it is just maybe 1 hour to the show.
Yeah. So
And when you're
okay.
given such data, when when it's a minute to the show, maybe an hour to the show, sometimes you have not even had opportunity to interrogate them, and the show is there set up. and you have to maybe address them. So basically, we came to realize that as we were dealing with it, and that's why my brother Maliba, Anthony Ngeru, and so many of us say this is not possible anymore. One, you are busy addressing things which are not true. Number two, you are addressing things which don't resonate to the people around you. You know, I also stay around people. So when you wake up in the morning, sometimes you're basking on the sun. Somebody asks me, Mushmiwa, those things you said, do you think SHA is really working?
Yeah.
Until I had to go to the hostel and find out that SHA is actually not working. There's a person who had a bill of 728,000 for only for SHA to pay 18,000. So I realized that that thing is not even helping at all. And they say it covers so many things and it's not even covering much. So there's nothing going on. In fact, some university students who I taught, you know, I used to be a teacher.
Yeah.
One day, a student I taught is in the university, and he was asking me, Mulimu, do you think what you are defending on TV is right? Because this new funding model is just not working. It's just not good. So then I asked several questions. Finally, you know, it reached a Damascus moment. I said no. And the worst of it, the reason why I might say this is also, you know me very well, my history. I started fighting for revolution of Luo community long time ago. I was a member of PDP, you can remember.
Yeah.
I joined the PDP. The reason why I joined the PDP when I left ODM was because of the situation, things which happened in ODM, which I don't want to discuss for now.
Yeah.
But then I also wanted a pending democratic space in Nyanza. And so when we started with PDP, they ended up blocking us from registering the party. That is the leadership of ODM together with the then government denied us. You know, so towards 2022. So we did not get opportunity to register that PDP as a party. We ended up not fielding any candidate. In fact, we were left partyless. So we later joined. Like for me, I joined UDA when I stayed partyless for some time. I joined UDA because the President William Ruto showed interest of working alongside Luo community by appointing some of our brothers in government. And so when Raymond Omolo, together with Eliud Owalo and others, were appointed to the government, I said, okay, fine, the president is showing goodwill. Now, the intention we had was to build UDA within Nyanza so that when Raila and his friends will be deciding, because you see ODM is a club of men, some club of people. If they suspect you, if they doubt you,
Yeah.
they don't give you tickets. So we said that we can have an opportunity where some other candidates can be running even if they are not in ODM ticket, so that we don't have good leaders being lost to independent or that. So we said UDA would be the option. But as we went on marketing, you realize that we threatened them. And because UDA was taking over Nyanza under my guidance as the coordinator of Nyanza. So the Raila just took over the Gen Z movement and used that opportunity to get to President William Ruto. In the process, they got to agree. And you know, when they agree, the possibility that they can agree and work together up to 2027 is there. So it means there's no way that a person who runs with ODM will have a contender who is a member of UDA. So obviously they will be doing zoning, and that's what Raila wants. Like in 2022, he shut us off in PDP. They ended up remaining with ODM alone. That is now what he was trying to do now. You can remember that we had already shocked them. In fact, they even went back to register people in ODM. Didn't I tell you? I think we discussed that. They went back registering. Yeah, because it was a real threat. So they really wanted a way to deal with it. So the only way was to agree to work with the president so that UDA can stop being marketed in Nyanza, like now it has stopped.
Do you think that could have been the reason? Because from the look of things, when the Gen Z Mandamano came, and the way they acted, and he said, and people believe that the president reached out to the Right Honorable Prime Minister to stabilize the government because the revolution that was brought in by the Gen Z was giving him a hard time.
That one is always the language of Raila all the time. So you cannot say to him, people always reach out to him. He said Moi reached out to him. He said Kibaki reached out to him. He said Uhuru reached out to him. So it's not difficult to accept that maybe whatever happened. But the truth of the matter is that Everyone will always find how to package their lie in the best way they want. So the simple thing which I can tell you without a doubt is that UDA was already taking over Nyanza, and Raila's henchmen were not comfortable, and they kept on pushing Raila. And you see, there are people also who cannot survive in politics in Nyanza without Raila. So they must always bring him, make him be on the picture every time, even when he's very tired. They always want to bring him on the picture. But the best thing I want to tell you for the country is not that one. It's not that coming together. That coming together is not like now what has happened. We have had reshuffle. That reshuffle, basically, yes, I am happy. Some of the Luos are in it. But is that not why Gachagua was fired? If it's about looking at our people, Gachagua was only also fighting for his people. So what has happened? Is there anything different?
So maybe it might be inclusivity, because like if you look at the agreement, the reason why among the 10-point agenda, inclusivity was one of them. And if you reflect on the changes that has been taking place, especially ever since the Right Honorable Prime Minister and William Ruto started working together, there's almost 3 changes, major changes. Does this one now reflect about the inclusivity that Kenyans are looking for, what they are saying, when you look at it?
As for me, my idea is so focused on different things as we speak, because you see, keeping on analyzing a government which has failed is just not making sense. As we speak, who is controlling the country, according to you? Even from those appointments, who is in charge? Even from our dailies, you can realize that there's a daily paper, a daily newspaper, which wrote Raila swallows Ruto. So it is basically, we are no longer in the election results. We are having a country which is being run without constitution, simply because, one, the opposition has decided to mix with the government. Two, the opposition has taken charge. So I don't know whether we have the opposition ruling the country or the country ruled by the persons who formed the government. All that said and done, as a Luo, I used to tell fellow Luos that we are supposed to work closely with the government. The reason why we proposed that, it's because our ability as a people to rise to presidency has been jeopardized by the old historical injustices which have caused a lot of fear among different other tribes. The reason being, we are taken to be very rough people, people who are inconsiderate, people who are very arrogant, and that's what they take us for. And as we have said, we thought that our young men who are inside government were able to work closely with the president so that we also move along as a community, so that finally we can get opportunity to take over power. But you see now, what has happened is hijacking. In fact, this government has actually been hijacked. We are now not working along with them. In fact, we are adding more enemies than friends, because I don't just know whether we just don't know how to align ourselves, because we aligned ourselves with wrong people who made us fail in election. And now we have come to align ourselves with people who won elections, but we have ruined the whole process. So basically, what I am saying is that it's not wrong for Raila and William Ruto to join together. I don't have a problem with that unity. The only problem I have is whether the 10 points agenda were really necessary. Was it really necessary to have a pact for the 10 points agenda to be effected? When you talk about NADCO report, did you need the president to sign an accord or maybe some pact with the opposition leader for that to be implemented? Did we really have to sign that to have third gender rule being complete? Do we really need that pact to have SHA working? Does SHA really depend on the pact? If ODM gave experts to the president, do they really need to sign an accord? So I want to just be very honest, is that as a country, we don't know where we're leading to. In fact, everybody's confused in the country today because you don't know who is in charge. At the same time, as a person, I believe in democracy, and that one you have known me for. And I don't relent, neither do I bow to unnecessary forces. And those forces, I'm used to fighting those forces, but I don't have a problem. We cannot have a country which is run depending on how or at the whims of an individual. We have a country to be run by the Constitution. And that is why we are informed as a people by Article 38 of the Constitution of Kenya, which allows us for right and freedom of association. Article 38 requires that I be free as a Kenyan to associate with anyone and to form and participate in any political formation. And when I say so, we have to know the role of opposition because our country has now lost opposition. We don't have opposition. So it is our duty to say things which are not working is we have to say. And so we came together as a team of like-minded individuals who want change in the country and formed a political party because we cannot be speaking without any standing. We cannot be activists. We cannot be NGOs. We are not human rights watch or anything. We are politicians, and political power is only acquired through a political party. And so we have decided to form a political party, which
Yes.
in itself is progressive in nature. So we call it Progress Plus Alliance. Progress Plus Alliance, meaning
Yeah.
Kenya has been properly democratized.
Uh-huh.
We have been liberated. You know, we cannot talk about democratizing Kenya anymore. We
Uh-huh.
cannot talk about liberating Kenya anymore.
Yeah.
This time we can only talk about progress. We can only talk about development so that when we ensure that Article 10 of the Constitution is followed, that is the national values and principles of governance,
Mhm.
if we can achieve that, then we will ensure that Kenyans achieve the content of Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya, that is dealing with socio-economic rights. That is all Kenyans want. Kenyans need clean water. Kenyans need good roads. Kenyans need good health facilities, not to shower, which is not working. Water which they drill to nowhere. Water that doesn't even work. Kenyans need clean environment. Kenyans need such things. But we don't need chapati, of course. So those things which they want to give, they want to give Kenyans things which Kenyans don't need. And then what Kenyans need, they don't want to give them. But the biggest thing, my brother, today, Kenyans need jobs, job
Okay.
opportunities, ability
And,
to
and
earn something.
and I saw on 24th, I don't know, you have a job rally that is going to take place in Uhuru Park, but I will engage you on your political party. And I want to look at it in entirety, bringing all the political parties on how the political parties has been run in Kenya. And this is a new kid on the block with the new ideas. What I want to know from you, from your political party as the national chair, in your political party, how are you going to make it to look like is an institution of political party with a lot of maturity as compared to the political parties that we are seeing or we are experiencing in our country? That is one. And also, as you answer that, how are you going to make it not to be like a personalized a political party that when I see you, I see that political party and you have the sole decision making in that political party, to make it at an institution?
Yeah, Progress Plus Alliance is a culmination of like-minded individuals, not one person, especially those individuals who have been dealing with the governance analysis, political expertise, and also development-oriented individuals. It is a party that intends to bring in of progress, whereby we are not supposed to be looking at only the rules that govern the political space, but also such requirements that ensures the socio-economic outrightness or uprightness of an individual. So PPA is basically principle 1043, that is Article 10 and Article 43, which actually provides for the national values and principles of governance. You see, everything that you have been talking about decision making, mismanagement of political parties, and anything like corruption, nepotism, tribalism, and such kind of things which have been bedeviling our country are just because of bad manners. Kenyans are just badly behaved, and in fact, we have the worst behaved political class, the class that is really retrogressive in itself. In fact, the class which is segregating the country in tribal lines. Like now today, these our old politicians are now segregating the country into our tribal lines. If you look at Kalonzo, is looking at Wakambas. If you look at Gachagua, is looking at Kikuyus. If you look at Ruto, is looking at the Kalenjins. If you look at Raila, is looking at the Luos. If you look at even that governor for Trans Nzoia, is just looking at Luyas. So you even wonder why they impeach Gachagua, because everybody is talking about his village. So the truth of the matter is this: as a country, if we stop bad behavior, then we can move on. And bad behavior was addressed properly in Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya. If you look at Article 28 of the Constitution of Kenya, it's looking at right to dignity, right to human dignity, Article 28. And remember that dignity is also touched in Article 10, meaning that to ensure that a Kenyan has got high level of dignity to himself, because we gave our rights and all our powers to the state through the contract, social contract, that is the Constitution of Kenya, where when we gave all our powers, the state had a duty of managing resources, developing resources, and distributing these resources in a manner that ensures everybody is having self-preservation. Self-preservation is a subject of Article 43. Article 43 is now providing for right to socio-economic things and everything, starting from Article 40, which is talking about right to ownership of property. So you look at a country where we have people who don't even understand that there are certain individuals who don't even have a per capita income of 200 shillings. There are people who cannot even afford to eat times a day. There are people who cannot even afford water to take care of themselves, to wash, to take a bath. Some people don't even have clean air to breathe. If you go to some place like Muhoroni, if you go to Muhoroni town, I don't even know how those people sleep, honestly. The place stinks. They don't have clean environment. So I wonder if I don't know whether you have been to that place. And even if you go to Nairobi towards Syokimau, there are zones which are really stinking because of factories which are not dealing well with their effluents. So that is what our government has allowed our people to go to. Because the worst thing the government has done is to ensure that Kenyans don't have job opportunities. If you don't have an opportunity to earn something, then you are as disparate as a street child, because you don't have anywhere to get anything. So what we are looking for as a party is to have one, good manners brought back to our governance. Because if you talk about corruption, if you talk about tribalism, if you talk about nepotism, if you talk about say any misconduct in whichever is about bad manners. So if we just change bad manners, where somebody does not have to garner for himself 5 billion. Imagine we talk about a scandal of 7 billion. We talk about a scandal. You see, it's bad manners to the extent that if you see a president going to a church and giving 20 million Kenya shillings, you wonder what is really playing with. You know, the other time, some ministers were impeached, were removed simply because they displayed watches which are worth something. But now we are having a president who can go and dispense with 20 million Kenya shillings and is expecting to dispense with another one at the next church. And that is the order of the day. So it's just about bad behavior. Even God doesn't, in fact, that's an offering which even God doesn't accept when people are suffering. Then the best you can go, and being that you have confirmed that Kenyans are hungry, Kenyans are suffering, then you stand where there are many and you courageously, out of bad manners, promise them that you are going to give them chapati. So you really wonder what's actually happening.
If you look at all that you are saying, and with the leadership that we have, or the kind of politics we have, and that is something that has always been our politics ever since, whereby the commercialization, whereby people are not judged by the policies that they want to, the policies they want to do, or things they want to do for Kenyans, but they're judged on how much is in your pocket or how much you're worth of. How is your party going to deal with that commercialization of politics?
Kenyans have now realized that they need good leaders. And I believe by 2027, Kenyans will make a decision based on the ability of individuals to be trustworthy. Because you realize that selling narrative alone doesn't work. And that's why I believe Kenyans this time round are not going to listen to narratives. They are going to listen to factual presentation of possibilities, not good narratives created by clever people to be implemented by those who don't understand it. Basically, the bottoms-up transformative agenda, according to Barack Muluka, for example, they are the ones who designed it. It was a design made by well-thought individuals who did not get opportunity to get into government with those with whom they made the idea. So they ended up having an idea which is well crafted, but with no idea of how to implement it. So they came up with things. Now they started fumbling. When they got in, they started fumbling. They started when they were told about, when these people talked about Hustler Fund, since they did not get in with the people they consulted, that is the betrayal in politics. They left out those with whom they crafted the idea. Then they started fumbling on their own. This SHA was a good thing, but they got in and started fumbling because the people who knew it were left out, like Barack Muluka. So when they implemented this thing called Hustler Fund, they actually didn't implement the idea. They implemented what they now thought when they were already in power. Even SHA, can I ask you, brother, why is it that SHA cannot work? Because they're talking about technological things. When M-Pesa operates 24/7 in Kenya and transacts the largest amount of money with different mobile numbers, now does it mean that our system of SHA just can't read ID number and the amount being paid in a given hospital? Is it possible?
And that's Mheshimiwa, something that you need to apologize to Kenyans, because now if these are some of the things that Kenyans were raising even before, and you are advocating for them, actually you should apologize to Kenya. But that is the question that we are asking. Even us, we're saying that, okay, this is a very good policy when it comes to healthcare. It's something that, based on how even the president sometimes explains it, is a very good, a brilliant idea. But now when it comes to implementation, where does it go wrong?
So I don't have to. You see, sometimes maybe I can simply say, before Kenyans must first of all apologize to themselves, because they are the ones who accepted the policy. They are the ones who accepted the manifesto. They are the ones who endorsed it. They are the ones who endorsed the Hustler movement. They are the ones who endorsed the Mama Mboga movement. They are the ones who endorsed bottom-up transformative agenda. Some of us came in to explain those agenda. But the problem, which I've also said, that I was busy explaining certain of them on TV, yet they are practically impossible, to the extent that some of them even being withdrawn when we are on the TV talking. So I have given you an example. I was not holding any position in government.
Yeah.
But I can give you an example, a very, very genuine example. If you can go back to history, watch when Opio and I, a cabinet secretary, was defending a Adani deal in the morning. You see that?
Yeah.
He was busy defending a Adani deal in the morning. But in that same morning, that thing had become so bad that the president was withdrawing from it. Didn't it happen? So that is the nature of our policing system. The government which does not have a particular stand, the government which is, I can tell you the truth, if I want this to be a clear parting short of for that point, we have a government which is on a test run. It is testing things. It is experimenting things. In fact, it is trying everything new they hear on internet or they hear from international conventions, whichever they go and find going on somewhere they want to do. And because we have stopped our MPs from benchmarking outside, it has been the head of state who has been benchmarking until he was stopped by the Gen Zs from moving out of the country. So now he has come back to test everything. So that is a problem. In fact, even this thing to do with ODM and with the Raila and the president, this is just experimentation, because they also know that Raila is not likely to be in that thing for up to 2027. They are experimenting whether Raila can settle somewhere. They know Raila will not settle, because the truth of the matter is that Raila will want to be president, or he will not want to work with this government. So that is the humble truth. Even if they keep assuring each other that I will not leave, I will not leave, I will not leave, watch the space. It will just change in the next few days. So basically, we have a government which has decided to put itself a laboratory to test everything, to experiment everything, And finally, they realize they don't work. So our duty was simply to explain the policies of the government. And I'm happy it didn't take me a year and a half. I started last year, and this year I'm out. So, because it just can't work. It is a system that is disorganized, a system that is exposed, a system that is just failed, a system that is just a mess. So
Okay.
that is the truth. I'm not maligning our government. I'm just speaking the truth, because even the ministers are not even in charge of their ministries. Even the PSS appointed, they will just be there, but basically they are not in charge. Because even if you call, I don't know whether they can attend this channel. Even if a minister, they will not even understand whatever is going on in their ministry, because some of those things going on are more of instructionary than being structured in the ministry.
Okay, thank you. Now, there's something that I also want to engage you on. I want to engage you on the legitimacy of the legitimacy, and this one is about when people go to vote. People go to vote to elect their government, or people go to vote to elect the administration that is going to take power. But in our case, we've always gone for voting. But what usually happens, we do have a situation whereby the minority or the majority come and work together. Yeah. And that one leaves us, we are asking what is the legitimacy of even the minority, the work that they should do, and the work of the administration that has taken power. Like right now, yeah, we've talked about it earlier. Now we have the minority. To say ODM is now working with UDA, and yet at the same time, they are holding some of the positions in parliament that are meant for minority. They've not relinquished those positions, like Park and we have like Park and which one is that? And we have Park and Public Investment Committee. These are committees that are meant for the minority, but they are working. How will it work then? How can we now talk about the legitimacy?
You see, the Constitution of Kenya is very clear as to how we are supposed to set up our governance. In fact, in ensuring effective management of the government, the Constitution, in its sound distribution of power, Constitution is the instrument which galvanizes power. That one, according to Professor Mutaha Kangu, who taught me law. Professor Mutaha Kangu is the one who taught me constitutional law. He taught me that the Constitution balkanizes power, and let me answer 1 minute.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. We are having a conversation with Honorable Ondiek, and we are having such conversation. We want to know what his thought on the government, and also about his political party. And PG Gra, why did you support it, and what was your reason for leaving? That is something that I will give him that question so he can answer. And I'm just waiting him to come. And why change of the heart? That is also what we are asking. So we will be engaging. If you're on the comment section and you have some questions that you want honorable member to answer, it will be okay for us to give him that question. Thank you so much for coming back.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead about the legitimacy you were explaining to us.
Yeah, what I was explaining is that the Constitution of Kenya basically develops, puts power together and gives it, and it also distributes it, so that in a separation of power, it gives power to the executive, it gives a particular power to the legislature, and it also gives the particular power to the judiciary. So you realize that we are in a state where power having been distributed by the Constitution, we stand to rule by the law, but then we end up messing because we are simply badly behaved. In right democracies, whatever has happened in Kenya was enough for the government to go home. In the well-functioning democracies, it is the moment when the person in power could just simply say, fine, it's like I am not supposed to be in this power at all. But because of bad behavior, we will cling to it. And that is a mistake we have as African states. We start, we go to the people, we tell them about us, we want them to elect us. And once they have given us power, we misbehave. And once we have misbehaved, we don't realize that we misbehaved. And we keep on justifying our misbehavior by a lot of rhetorics, which end up not being necessary to the country. As we speak, the parliament is actually being run by opposition. Of course, there were many numbers, as was said by the High Court, but honestly speaking, the current management of Parliament indicates that we are just badly behaved. At the same time, if you look at the laws that govern the operations within Parliament, whether by standing orders and the rest, they really try to follow the law, but they use the law to fail the country. But I don't want to talk much about how they run parliament because I know Kenyans will vote them out. That's the most important thing. These members of parliament have failed Kenyans from the finance bill. They came to fail Kenyans by pretending that they want to deal with the tribalism, and so they ejected the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. They cheated Kenyans that they really care about them, but still they don't care about them. Whatever they do, even what CDFs are doing, the MPs are not performing based on the best way, the best standards. So personally, as Ondiek Kennedy and as the chair of PPA, we believe that entrenching national values and principles of governance is the only way out. Good behavior for realization of socioeconomic rights that Kenyans need. That's all.
Okay.
The current government has lost legitimacy. The current government, in fact, the referendum against the government was done by the Gen Zs. Yeah, when the president was forced to change everything depending on how Gen Zs wanted it. But they didn't do what Gen Zs wanted. In fact, basically, Gen Zs wanted the government to go home.
Yeah.
So that was the referendum against the state.
Okay, you've spoken about tribalism, and this is something that it's ailing our country from time immemorial. And even in the 21st century, we are seeing it coming, and we are seeing it being, we are experiencing it, but in a very intelligent way. And you've talked of the impeached deputy Rigathi Gachagua. That was one of the messages of him being impeached, that he was tribal. But when you look at it microscopically, you find that all the political leaders, in a way, they are tribal. How can we cure that?
Brother Benson, where you are as we speak now, do I really need microscope to see you?
No, you don't.
Because it is obvious that I'm seeing you with your beards, I'm seeing your face, I'm seeing your t-shirt which is white, I'm seeing even the place where you have placed your microphone.
Yeah.
That is how Kenyans are clearly visible. When they are tribalistic, they are visible. When Uhuru Kenyatta met William Ruto and he was given opportunity to nominate people to the cabinet, what did he do? He nominated all Kikuyus and all directors. That is tribalism. If you look at the government William Ruto is running, it was initially more of Kalenjins, but even in the current appointments, secret appointments, leave alone these public appointments, the secret appointments are going on and mostly they are a single tribe. It is simply because we have believed in the winner take it all. And when the winner has taken it all, they decide whatever they want to do with it. And that is bad behavior. And that is what I was telling you. If Kenyans can simply look at the following. One, say, for example, I'm a CEO of a company, of an organization of government. They are children of people who are nobody in the country. Why is it that when I'm a CEO, I'm the one who is to bring my sister to be a secretary in the office where I work as the CEO? Why is it that I have to ensure that I push another CEO somewhere to ensure that the daughter of my sister is the one who is appointed? Does it mean that when one person gets opportunity to serve the state, then it is a leeway for all that community, that clan, that family, both extended and nuclear, to be in government, because that's what's happening. And that's why I talked about job opportunities. Kenyans are lacking jobs, even those who are qualified, not because they don't deserve those jobs, or not because those jobs are not there, because those jobs are given to non-deserving people. So these non-deserving people are seated, and when these non-deserving people come in, they become very bossy, and in fact, they take control. Sometimes they end up being the ones who decide who comes next. And whoever comes next, usually according to the Kenyan system, must be lower than them. So let's say you employed someone who is not best qualified. Then now you bring someone who is lower than him and who is related to him or who is coming from his house. So that one is the thing. We keep on talking about our tribe. It's not about our tribe. It's important we look at what is the best for Kenya. I don't know whether these ministers or the PSS who are appointed will be of value to the government, but it's just a matter of wait and see. Because this government has failed to deliver on anything. They have failed to take care of everything. They have only overtaxed Kenyans. It has only caused pain to Kenyans, because what was the reason for transferring the system and services from NHIF to bring it to a test run of SHA? Why was it necessary to remove HELB only to bring a new funding model which doesn't even have a name? What was very difficult in simply saying, if Kenyans want national IDs, let them go and register procedurally. Why was it to open? Why was the government to open space so that people can register, can get IDs, even visitors? You know, we are allowing our national IDs to be accessed by anybody without proper vetting. They have interfered with the border vetting process. When you have interfered with the border vetting process, it means you want foreigners to come in without being vetted to get our national IDs. What is the intention? If we have a country which is running on a budget of 4 trillion, because the initial budget which was rejected was 4.2 trillion. If we are having a country running on a budget of 4 trillion, with zero budget put for industrialization, there is no factory which the country is putting up as we speak. We have a 4 trillion budget, and there is no factory which the government has budgeted to put up. How then do you say that you are going to deal with joblessness? How else are you going to deal with lack of opportunities for Kenyans? We know that Kenyan universities have become so many in the country. They are releasing so many graduates at different levels. And here you are not building anything. You are not creating opportunity for government to absorb these people. And then you tell them that you want to take them outside. Which country is that which is busy working for you to prepare opportunities for your people to go and occupy? And some of them end up being slaves and sex workers in those external countries. Saudi Arabia, together with other Middle East countries, are just humiliating our people. Some of them forcing them to sleep with dogs. Some of them are not even respecting human rights at all. And those are the countries we are told that we have signed accord with so that we can deliver our workforce to them. Yet, we cannot pay our doctors well while the Cuban doctors are still in the country. Are you still aware that the Cuban doctors are still around?
I'm not aware, but I know that program, it came during the administration of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, when we had...
No.
But I'm not aware whether they're still around or they've gone back.
You saw them coming in. Did you see them going back?
I did not. Maybe sometimes contract might have expired and they just left quietly without us knowing.
No, they will not. They could not leave without being known. So if they didn't, whatever the case, Kenya ended up importing workforce when we have workforce which we are not paying well. So as a government of PPA, assume we rise to power. Because you have asked me now, I need to own the idea of our party and of our movement.
Of your movement.
Yeah, our intention as a party, one, is to ensure that we introduce leadership in the country which will be respecting Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya. And it's not going to be an excuse to any person working in our government. Corruption is only a subject of madness, in fact, a subject of misbehavior, which if we control, we can deal with it. And for us, we are not going to start dealing with corruption only at the big boy level. We are going to deal with the small boy level, because I've always said it in several fora that
Yeah.
if an accountant doesn't accept to pay for a supply which has not been done, there cannot be corruption.
Mhm.
If a procurement officer refuses to approve a tender which is not there, there cannot be corruption.
Mhm.
If an auditor does his or her audit well, to the extent that we get the correct report, there
Mhm.
cannot be corruption. If the investigating authorities go to investigate correctly and end up with the correct report for purposes of instituting or constituting a suit
Mhm.
or a criminal suit according to the Money Laundering Act, or maybe corruption act, anti-corruption and anti-corruption act, we cannot talk about corruption. So if those four people, because we are coming in with young people are the young procurement officers, young people are the accountants, young people are the auditors, young people are. So we go to say no to corruption, because if we just decide to make everything available for us, then
Mhm.
everybody will be happy. Because in America, over there in America, do you think any person there still wants to steal for the sake of amassing wealth for himself?
No, that was cannot happen.
People work even two shifts, but they live without stealing. They earn what they deserve. Why is it in Kenya we have some procurement officer who earns 40,000 but has got billions worth of properties? How does that happen? That is simply misbehavior. We procure too much for ourselves, more than we need, and our neighbors are suffering. And that's why you realize that in Kenya, we must put, if you go to America, in those places you stay, there are not many perimeter walls. You even stay where there's a perimeter wall. I don't know where you stay, but do you have so many perimeter walls? Because in movies, I always see American houses, all of them standing alone without perimeter walls.
Mhm.
But in Kenya, we have to put on very strong perimeter walls with very strong gates surrounded with electric fence, simply because we inside there we are having what does not belong to us. And
Okay.
most likely somebody is coming to steal from us because we. So the most important thing we do, we first of all put a perimeter wall even before we start building the house, because everybody knows what is our worth. But
Uh,
when they see what we are putting up, they will
yeah.
know that we have simply stolen. So they will come from us.
Okay. As a party, there's this constituency of the Gen Z movement or the Gen Z constituency. How is your party um, planning to make sure that they are on your side, bearing in mind that they say they are partyless, they are leaderless, and they're tribeless? How is your party working towards maybe having them on your side? Or how are you planning to mobilize them?
That is our strategy, and I believe it's not for public consumption.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we are putting up proper strategies to engage them. And that's why, as a party, together with like minded players, we have started engaging the government on the challenge of joblessness. That is our first step, so that we can tell the government and we tell the youth that we have solutions to joblessness. And solution which I can send to public is not supposed to be private to us, because if the government is willing, they can use it. Is one, stopping any possible development going on and focusing only on industries. Can I tell you,
Yeah.
if you go to China, there's a company which employs up to 45,000 people. It's an electrical company manufacturing and assembling mobile phone, this iPhone.
Mhm.
45,000 people. They go in, when they go in, you think it is demonstration. When they leave, you think it is demonstration, because they value their people to earn something for themselves, something which is decent. So we want the government, with the budget which is coming, like what we are going to discuss mostly tomorrow on Monday, is
Yeah.
to pursue government that as they make supplementary budget,
Yeah.
we want to see 1 or 5 factories. Because if you take 100 billion, 100 billion is enough to build a very proper factory or proper production line. That one is able to employ very many people. So we want to ask the government, as they budget or they do a supplementary budget, we want to see in the next budget cycle, which begins in June, we want to see 1 trillion, at least 1 trillion set aside to put specific factories into place. Number two, we want to ask the government to remove these old people. There's no way an old person who is about 80 years, 70 years, is still kept as a consultant. Some of them can't even walk. Some are very old, and they are still kept as consulting technicians, like consulting engineers, consulting quantity surveyors. And there are some young quantity surveyors who don't have jobs. And there are some people who have overstayed their usefulness in this government department. Somebody who is 55, that person should now start taking care of the grandchildren at home. And these people are still stuck in the office. They're waiting for 60 years. This thing of 60 years must be removed. And I'm sure when it's removed, we must have at least 1 million Kenyans getting into a job, or 500,000 people getting into a job. And then the government must be creative. Like we talked about, personally, I wrote a policy document on Nairobi Rivers Commission, which I say, in fact, I wrote a cabinet paper proposal, which was reorganizing Nairobi Rivers to employ many young jobless people who are not even qualified to take care of the cleaning and the silting and offloading the waste within the river, to make it clean, to avoid the river channel from being dirty as it is. Kenyans can do that. There are so many young people in Nairobi who can be employed at even 30,000 per month to be removing and cleaning our rivers within Nairobi, the 3 rivers within the Nairobi river region. But they can't. They don't look at such. They are busy thinking of how to steal, how to be corrupt. They are busy talking about Bomas. Somebody's telling us that Bomas is now being rebuilt. Why do you rebuild Bomas of Kenya when Intercontinental Hotel has collapsed, when Lyco Regency Hotel has collapsed, when ACC has, when Hilton Hotel has collapsed? So what are you building Bomas for? When even KICC is not properly occupied, because they even don't have a lot of activities at the Kenyatta International Conference Center. What are you building at Bomas? Basically, we have misplaced priority because this is a government which is busy experimenting everything. In fact, they are experimenting even with those hubs. They were called Wi-Fi hubs. What hubs? Those things which they open. They are not even working. If you go to those places where internet hubs, I don't know how they were called, those things which Owalo was doing, they are not even working. Huh? What are they? I don't know them. Hotspots. They wanted to bring hotspot to markets.
To markets.
Yeah, basically, how do you talk about bringing Wi-Fi to markets when these people are selling pineapples, which you have refused to develop factory for them to sell? So you want these people to sell pineapple online when you have not allowed them to make it value for it by putting up a factory there. You want to talk about fish. You want somebody to sell fish online when there is international market which requires fish, but you have refused to build processing factories. You talk about cold rooms and landing sites when you have not built factories to absorb those fish. What are we talking about?
You've mentioned pineapple, and you are the best person that can give us, especially when you are somewhere in Homa Bay called Dolare. That is a very well-known place in Kenya for producing one of the best pineapple. As somebody who is coming from Homa Bay, I don't know whether there are any plans currently or in the near future where we can have a factory plant to process the pineapple that usually comes from Morare, which are the best.
In the government which we are going to form, because this one is going to fall, and we are going to form a government, whether of PPA or a coalition party where PPA is involved, we are going to construct factory for pineapple in Homa Bay County. We are going to put up factory in Homa Bay County. We are going to look at all the strategic, and we are going to put up big factories which will be costing not less than 100 billion to ensure that it can, one, absorb the products, two, employ people, and three, produce those proper products in a more finished manner, that increasing their value. That's the value chain. We are not going to talk about value chain on paper. We are not going to be theoretical. We are going to be practical. we are going to ensure that if it is a mobile phone, for example, if Samsung can produce S23 or 24 Ultra and sell it at 300,000 or 250,000, then we are going to invite Samsung as a government to Kenya and give them those lands which are doing nothing around Narok and the rest, so that they can put up factories. We give them those lands for free and without corruption. You know, when serious companies want to come and put up industries in Kenya, like now there's an organization which wants to put up the aloe vera manufacturing. You find that to the state, they get brokers. These brokers demand a lot of money from them. When Aliko Dangote wanted to establish a cement factory in Kenya, he was not able to do that because of corruption, which was government, and they did not allow him. And this is a fact. So if we can open up our sphere for these external investors so that we don't overtax them. Now, we only insist that they pay our laborers the rate they would pay them where they are working. They pay them American rate if it is American company. They pay them Chinese rates if it is a Chinese company. But we give them free space, we give them protection, and we give them opportunity to export those which they produce without extra charges, but we get employment for people. If there's raw materials, we have it, we sold there. And if we have market, they will sell within our market. If something is produced in Kenya, I don't think it can go at 200,000. It can go at 100 or even 70,000. And the last of it, barons will not accept the money barons. Because before we had our oil in Turkana, we were importing crude oil. Is it not true? Why is it that when we now discover our oil in Turkana, we now don't have a refinery? We cannot refine it. We were refining crude oil, which we were importing when we have our oil. When now we have our oil, we are exporting that our oil in crude manner. Then now we are importing refined oil, and then we have fuel fee going high because of the holding charges. When the petrol come, the place where they are held is called storage charges, is making the price of fuel to go higher. Why? Changamwe Refinery Limited working before we discovered our oil. Who is playing us? Who is joking around with us? So we must tell these people who they also must release the economy so that Kenyans can be comfortable. Kenyans cannot suffer because a few people, or else we bring two revolutions. One, wealth revolution, where if you have too much wealth which we don't know where you've gotten it from, we will take it back from you by force, whether you have stolen it or not, because there's nobody who can be privileged to do business, to be a billionaire when others are suffering. At the same, I'm not being careless. I'm not being careless. At the same time, even if you work within Nairobi city, there are so many lands which are lying fallow. They belong to families of people who robbed them from Kenyans because they were in Kenyatta and government, and they are sitting on it with children staying outside the country, and they are busy enjoying when others are called quarters within their own country. It cannot be possible that one family holds one family is holding a whole county in the coast, yet in the coast we have squatters. It is not possible.
And that's a conversation like what we are asking is about the leadership, the people that are in the leadership. That is something that they should answer people. But now, as much as we might be blaming the leaders that are in place or the leaders that have been voted for, but the leaders usually do not get those positions by themselves. These are leaders who are voted. Can we also blame the voters too?
No, I can tell you, when it comes to Kenyan politics, you don't blame voters. I will not blame voters. Of course, I'll not blame voters, because obviously you know that our elections have never been free and fair. Voters have gone to cast their votes, and this is where I will agree with Raila Odinga. This is the only point where I will agree with Raila, that Kenyans have always voted for Raila Odinga. And you could see from what Macharia said, how many times Raila won elections. But what has been there is these barons I'm talking about, these money barons, these people who determine the system. It is Kenyans have voted for Raila, but the system has failed them. But again, when I come to people like Raila, William Ruto, and the rest, I also blame them for bad members of parliament. Some of them have taken monopoly of politics within their regions, like in Luo community. If you don't sing the tune which you know very well which tune I'm talking about, you cannot be elected. Elected, but you cannot be selected. So we have, like, for example, in our region, which I know best, you know, I cannot talk about other regions so much, but in our region, I know best, leaders are selected from MCA to MP to who becomes women rep and whatever, literally selected. So when you are selected and given the ticket, then they expose your opponent to the wave of that party's monopoly. Then they claim they're going to assist somebody, they're going to assist Raila ahead. That is now why I say political monopolistic tendency in political activities within regions must stop, and this political patronage must stop. And that's why I'm saying we are introducing this party to break the status quo, to tell them that we cannot be a people who are having leaders selected literally by some particular individuals, that you are at the whims of someone, even if you are somebody who cannot deliver anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ondiek. Maybe if you have your last remark to our people, then I will still have to engage you, especially because you have a new party in the country. You're offering us alternative. There are so many questions that we need to answer as a country, and there's so many questions that we need also to attend to as a country. So your last remark to our viewers?
Yeah, I will have two remarks. One, invite all persons who are jobless in this country to gather on Monday at Uhuru Park so that we can discuss our fate as jobless people, because there are Kenyans who are almost reaching retirement age with degrees in their hands without any job, not even a salary. We also have to reorganize our census structure so that we can actually know who is not employed, because our census, they put unemployed, self-employed, and the rest. So that when they're not populating those who are jobless, they box for jobless. So they calculate even the self-employed people as to be employed so that they can save their face from the shame of having a country full of jobless people. Kenya is having seriously jobless people, and we are gathering at Uhuru Park on 24th in the morning on Monday next week so that we can discuss our problems as people who are jobless in this country. We want to look at how we can invest. We are going to look at how we can develop ourselves, and we are going to find a mechanism of searching for these opportunities inside the government. And finally, we are going to find how to force the government to ensure that they create these valid opportunities for us. Point number two, we as a people and members and friends, we have gathered to collect ourselves and views to put ourselves together to associate in the Progress Plus Alliance. This is a party which intends to open up the democratic space in regions which have been monopolized by some particular political parties, and also to continue the process of democratizing and liberating the country through what we call progress. Progress is actually what Kenyans need. Good behavior as enshrined in Article 10, and also good services as provided for or otherwise anchored in Article 43. Kenyans need good values and principles of governance, and also we need water, we need shelter, we need good health, we need good education, we need such social amenities which amount to our socio-economic rights. We are not going to beg the government to give them to us. We are going to ask it because it is a duty that lie upon them, upon our acceptance to belong to the government. We chose to submit unto the government and collect taxes as they request, but we shall not be begging for our rights, because it is the inalienable rights which we have and for which we are not going to beg. And we are coming as a people, both Gen Zs and millennials, forming a group of young people to tell this current dispensation that the old guards must leave. We don't want to see Gachagua who is talking about Trump. We don't want to see Kalonzo who is talking about Kabas. We don't want to see Raila who is talking about Luos. We don't want to see Ruto who is talking about Kalenjins and Rift Valley people. We want to see a person who talks about all Kenyans in its collective manner, because we did not choose to be born in Kenya. No one chose to be born a Luo. No one chose to be born a Kikuyu. No one chose to be born number. No one chose to be born a Somali in this country. We have equal rights because we carry the same type of identification now card. It is only different in terms of number, but it is different. It is not collectively different as a tribe. That is why there are things which we must now stop. Defining ourselves as a tribe must be stopped. If we can't deal with our tribes, then we must remove ethnicity as part of our identity when it comes to opportunities, because it has been derogatory, bad, and threatening.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Ondiek, for taking your time to be with us. As a channel, we just wish you well with the new party on the block. We'll be monitoring your moves and we'll see if you can liberate the country. Then that is how we will be very glad and happy to see you liberating the country. As a media, we will always keep on inviting you here to share with us new ideas that are popping and how you're planning to run the country in case you are elected. And we will also putting you into accounts because we've taken the role of putting the leaders into the check so that we can have good leadership. Apart from that, I want to wish you well and may God bless you as you retire to bed. Thank you so much.
Have a great evening, my brother, and
I
greet
talk.
those around you for us.
Okay, I'll talk to you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. That was the national chair of PPA party, and they've come up with a new party, and they shared with us his policies and what they want to do for the country. So sometimes when such like new party comes into play, we have to give them opportunity and listen to them and listen to what they're saying, because when you look at our political parties, the way it is they are formed or the way they are being run, sometimes it is not quite much easy to tell whether they are independent or institutionalized or they are owned. So we will keep on engaging leaders who are trying to offer alternative to the country in the country, and uh, let them tell us what they have for us. I don't know whether Makobura you're around. If you can come on the studio, so we can talk about few issues here. You give your thought on what the leader has said, especially concerning to what they are going to do. He has also talked about 24 on Monday, where young people or everybody is allowed, anybody's being invited at Huru Park to go and listen to them. There's also something that is developing, especially the Court of Appeal. Remember, the Court of Appeal rejects Wetangula's bid to overturn the ruling on Azimio majority status. If you are aware, there was a court case that was going on, and it was made in the ruling was given on the High Court that the Azimio are the majority, and this one asked. They were looking at the time of voting, and they say that during voting time, and I mean, like the number of MPs that have been voted in that coalition that was determined who are the majority is not being determined at the parliament. So that is one ruling that the Court of Appeal. So he can go to the Supreme Court because that was the Court of Appeal has rejected that. So because like some of the things that to go back on to this, some of the things that even like the High Court answered was about him holding two positions, the chair of Ford Kenya and also the Speaker of the House. So which means if you are holding a position in a political party and you are a speaker, you might be biased, and we've seen some of the judgment that he has made. What now make me think, why did he have to go to appeal if he knew very well that where he is on the right side of the history? So that is something that we are following up. Makobura, where are you at? I don't know whether Makobura is around. If you can come to the studio for a few minutes so we can have some conversation about your take on the chair of PPA party. That is could be good, or you are not in a position to come to the studio. If you're not, then I will close the studio. Let me wait for Marco Bura to come in into the show. And hey, Marco Bura, how are you doing? Hello, Marco Bura.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. How have you been?
I'm doing good. Nimeona mheshimiwa amekuwa area
Eh,
and I think it's a good move
yeah.
that
And oh, okay, and just to remind them, something that I did not say, that everything that Mushimiwa said, those are we can put disclaimer on them. Those are his opinion, or not the opinion of the channel and of the host too. Yeah, so that is a disclaimer that we are putting, because here every opinion counts. So that is something that that was his opinion, and not the view of the channel or the view of the host. Yes. What is your take?
I just like the fact that he's no longer defending the government, because if you remember the many times that we've always had him as a guest,
Yeah.
he has been defending the government to an extent that sometimes you ask yourself, surely this government, what positive have they actually done to the people of Kenya?
Mm,
I also like the fact that he has started seeing and he can give a list of the problems that, according to him, he's
yeah.
seeing in the country. He has acknowledged the fact that people are jobless. If you remember the last time he was here, he was saying that it is the youths who do not want to work. And
Mm,
today at least he has changed the conversation and he's saying that it is true that the issue of unemployment and some of the problems that the youths are going through are real.
mhm.
And I also like the fact that he's acknowledging that, the power, of course, belongs to the people, and people should be given that space to make their own decisions. And actually, they should be listened to.
Yeah.
That is one
Th-
thing that I've seen change in him.
there's
Also,
something that I did not follow up with him, but he said when he was going to the TV station, some of the issues that he was talking about, they were given, and immediately after coming from the interview, he would get some calls and tell him, were you really, really serious of what you're talking about? He also talked about Opio and I defending a project, yet at the time when he was defending that project, the president canceled the deal. But this is not first time we are getting this kind of information, especially for those who have worked closely with the Kenya Kwanza, to be very specific, UDA. Remember, the deputy president also mentioned something about the president being, I quote, somebody who makes the decision. Yeah, the decision is not unilateral decisions. Is the person who calling the shots. And now the immediate UDA coordinator, who is now the chair of PPA party, has also talked about the same. What does this one tell you, or what kind of picture does it give you in the administration of Kenya Kwanza?
just like the way it has always been mentioned, I think the president is actually running the government himself. He's giving instructions in both ministries. And I think this is part of the problem that we have as a country, because Ruto cannot be the president and he want to run all the ministries. There are people, they're professionals who understands how different ministries should be run. And the best thing you should do is to just give them a space to just actualize and to, uh, put in place, or just use their, what they've learned in their profession to turn around things which are not really working. It
Yeah.
is something that has been confirmed not only by the former deputy president,
Mhm.
but also even the members of parliament, some cabinet secretaries. They have come out. If you remember the former cabinet secretary in charge of treasury,
Yeah.
he was on record saying that, as much as is doing some things to do, to bring change in that ministry, the president has a bigger say. If you can also remember the former AG,
Mhm.
J. Muturi, he also said that while he was serving as Attorney General, he had the responsibility of giving cancelled the government and advices, but it is the prerogative of the president and the people in charge to either, take the advice or leave. So this is something that we've learned, that the president is not leaving things to the people responsible to perform their duties, but instead is actually is actually he wants to just oversee and to run everything. It cannot work that way. And that, of course, when someone has given you a responsibility,
Mhm.
and then he keeps on, pushing you,
Yeah.
sometimes you just get confused. And that is
Mhm.
what we saw. If you remember P.S. Hinga, when he was giving an explanation about the housing and all these things, he was unable because, sometimes you get too much pressure until you get seriously confused. And these are some of the problems that we've seen with the employees, these people who have been given the opportunity to serve under this government.
So,
So, what is the president?
okay. So like based on now what even like you said, and now we know from the look of things, or now when you look at it, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is right into the government based on what was the reshuffling or the appointments that were made. Majority of his allies got the position, and there are some that we will applaud because they are young people who are appointed in various ministries department, and to that one we would congratulate them, and even say think we can tell kudos to William Ruto, because like to see young people are now being appointed to such positions, be it that they are aligned to the Right Honorable Prime Minister or they are aligned to William Ruto. But what matters most is that the young people are going there. So, and what is your take to see like even Dr. Olunga, the young guy who has been nominated into the health ministry?
It is a good move,
Yeah.
and I think this is one of the things. I think Raila sometimes thinks wisely,
Mm-hmm.
and as much as at times he has messed or make decisions which are not really, benefiting the people of Kenya. I think sometimes you just have to, just acknowledge some of the moves that he has taken.
Yeah.
Because what happened is, I think he was given these positions, and then he looked at, all the opportunities, and then decided to give this the people who were given. And something else that I've also noticed is he didn't really look at one specific tribe, but he tried,
Yeah.
to give it to different tribes, and more of them, of course. I've also seen entrance of young men,
Yeah.
youthful people, which is a good sign. And I think if they continue the same momentum, then there's a possibility that maybe the youths would get an opportunity to also start serving in these big positions.
Yeah.
And we are being told that youths are the leaders of tomorrow. So if they're exposed,
Mm.
and given opportunity to work in these positions,
Yeah.
then in one way or another they get to understand how, leadership and how all these things operate.
And
And that is
what
what
we
is
hope,
important.
and we really hope, and we really hope 100% that they are going to be given the environment to express their expertise. They should not be
That
limited.
that is actually the worry,
Yeah.
because that is the only worry that they should have, and also as a people we should have, especially the youths.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have nominated these people to serve as flower girls, or they are going to be given the opportunity to, just interact and to, showcase what they have. I hope
Mm.
that way maybe it would be good for the people. But if they do it in a manner that is, if they gave those positions to these gentlemen, young men, or youthful people, just to
Mm.
hold the position and to earn, their salary without giving them the opportunity to, interact and get to understand how their ministries work,
Hmm.
then that would be a different story. Uh, it is not easy to really say that they're going to get that humble opportunity because remember, these ministries,
Mhm.
there's more of consultation, of course, that is done here and there. And of course, normally instructions come from ahead.
Mhm.
So let's hope and see. We've seen Honorable Dr. Raymond doing well,
Mhm.
and is one of the most actually performing, leaders that we currently have in the country. I think because he's been given the opportunity to just showcase and to work, we are hopeful that they'll do the same to the
Yeah,
new guys.
the new guys. Yes, so that is our hope, because if they are given that opportunity, and also the young people, I mean, like the young people who have been given opportunity, they should also find time to react, or to interact. I mean, not to react, but to interact with fellow youths, and be in a position to get those proposals, because the position where they are at, it will be very easier for the youth to access those various ministries, or even to the minister in charge, or the CS in charge, through the young people that have been given opportunity. Makobura, there's also the issue of Wetangula. I tried to talk about it when I was still waiting for you, where the Court of Appeal has rejected the bid for to overturn the ruling made on by the High Court on Wetangula concerning the Azimio majority status, and I think also with him also holding the position of Speaker, at the same time the chair of the Ford Kenya.
Okay, what I can say is, we've got three departments. We've got levels of government, that is the executive, the
Mhm.
judiciary, and the parliament.
Mm.
And of course, the role of the parliament is to make laws.
Yeah.
The role of, the executive is to, ensure that all those things are followed. But the role of judiciary, of course, is to look at whether the laws which have been made, they've followed what the constitution says.
Yes.
And part of their role, of course, was to look at the pronouncement of the speaker, whether he made the right decision by, pronouncing that the KK was the majority,
Mm.
and whether the law was followed. And I think from the explanation of the reason why they said that the pronouncement by the speaker was not the right one,
Yeah.
and they gave that leadership to the major to Azimio. I
Mhm.
think they were right because their role, of course, is to look at when the speaker was doing this announcement,
Yeah.
what was the number of people in this side, and which, if suppose political parties had come together, were they, intact? What were the terms of their, all those kind of things? And they say it wise to give it back to Azimio.
Mhm.
And, the speaker also decided that he also has the powers, is the head of the parliament. And so he decided to also give his own explanation of why he did that. But I think that is somehow disrespecting the judiciary, because judiciary is there to, uh, to just expound on what the constitution says,
Mhm.
whether it was followed or not. And I think they should be given. It is wise that the judiciary should be respected, and whatever pronouncement they've given,
Mhm.
whether the parties are okay with it or not, they should just accept that. Because if we get to a point where the speaker would want to negate or to, give a different explanation of what the courts, the judiciary has, pronounced itself on,
Mhm.
then that would mean that we are even going against the constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
But,
So
but yeah.
to me,
Go
it
ahead.
is just, it is, I would advise that let the law be followed, let the constitution be followed.
Mhm.
And if the judiciary has pronounced itself, it is the good thing is to just follow that, whether you like it or not. And if you are not, of course, in support of that, you go
Mhm.
to court to appeal. And if the appeal is also saying it's, just let us just follow the law and respect the courts.
Okay.
the judiciary.
Thank you so much, Gibson Connor. I can see you're saying hi to Mr. Makobura, and I hope you're doing fine. Yes, Makobura, those are the only issues. And today, like today, Mheshimiwa was a bit cool and collected. Today, he was not. Some.
Yeah, very well. I didn't see him, getting agitated, and also, just using some words like, it is, when someone is seriously defending something and they know it is not working, you can just tell. People cannot, we are human beings. You
Yeah.
can read, you can see the gestures and even the moves. And I
Okay.
like the fact that he is now born again and is speaking
Yeah. You
about the
see,
rights of the
this
citizens.
there's something that he spoke about that is quite much very important. Especially, he talked about that what he's fighting for is fighting for opening up options. He talk of is it monopolistic, like where monopolitic or monoparty politics, whereby you have like only one party that exists. Yeah, you want to give people alternative, especially as I spoke to him very well. He spoke about the area that he comes from is coming from the Nyanza region, the Luo region.
I think it's that's a good move, but
Yeah.
the bigger thing that we should ask ourselves is what is the real intention for coming with this? Is it really something that is people driven, or it is something that is self driven? So that is the bigger thing that we need to look into it, because if suppose then he's coming with that political party, the question we should then ask him is, are you then going to fight and stand by the people? And remember, some few days ago he was speaking against the people, and he clarified here.
Yeah.
If you heard him, he said
Yeah.
that sometimes they were being told to say this and this. So the
Hmm.
question we would ask him is, if then is seen that wananchi wanaumia, how comes he was unable to stand by them just the other day?
Yeah.
Or suppose he's invited in this government and maybe given a PS or some position, would
Yeah.
he then continue supporting a government without thinking about the people? Those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves then as a citizen.
Okay, so there's something that maybe we can also find a time to discuss about is about when we are looking at the coalition generally, or the understanding, the memorandum of understanding between the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga and President William Ruto. Um, there are those who have argued that there are so many things that they are bringing on table. Like, first of all, it brings about reconciliation. People talk about reconciliation. People talk about economic dignity for all. People talking about I wrote it somewhere here. I was just going through one of the article that somebody wrote.
Reconciliation.
Yeah, people talk about reconciliation. People talk about um,
To me, if
mm,
you allow me to say something about reconciliation, I don't see how reconciliation is getting into that handshake,
mm,
because they're reconciliating who and who. Is it Raila and Ruto? If that is the case, then it is
mm,
right to use that term.
mm,
But if it is it's a reconciliation between the people of Kenya, that is the citizen, and the government in power, then that is not really happening, because remember, the people of Kenya raised issues, and there were around 10.
mm,
Out of those 10, there's not maybe appointing two youthful men or three in the
mhm,
PS position,
mm,
because those were some of the issues which were raised, that we needed some youths to be in government. Maybe that is what they've actualized. If we go back to the issue of housing is not a priority to the people of Kenya now, and they raised it and they gave reasons why it is not. And the government is still continuing with it. If we go to the issue of high cost of living, it is still a problem, and you know people are not really able to afford their basic needs. If we go to infrastructure. Infrastructure in the Republic of Kenya is not as good as the people wanted. The issues to do with business, it is not really easy. And the issues, of course, about justice to those people who have died. No one has really received justice. We are still seeing a good number of people, families crying that their families, some of their families, why they are not aware about, the whereabouts of their families. That is
Okay. So I think like we should set a time so that we can discuss about this. And there's also something that is developing, especially um, especially in Kisii, this wave of Matiang'i. I was reading an article somewhere about the wave of Matiang'i and Simbarati is kind of like crippling the influence of Raila in the Gusii land. So I don't know whether how true that is, but it's something that we can talk about.
Yeah, I actually watched the same, and I think the Omuguzi, they're coming together to just support one of their own, and they're not really happy with those people who are trying to bring the conversation of ODM and other people. What they're doing currently is they're trying to consolidate themselves and just come up as a community in support of one of their own. I watched a clip where they had all some press and they were giving reasons why they think that it is right for them to come together and just unite their political background before they get out of that community to bargain. I saw that press.
And I think like when you look at the 2027 political election, it's all about each and every region consolidating their force towards their own. And I think this one is going to inform the bargaining, or on bargaining. And if it's going to be like this, then the kind of election we are going to have 2027 is a very crucial one. And my question to you is, because like we have this constituency of Gen Z, how are they consolidating themselves? Because for that they can speak with one voice.
What I can say about the Gen Zs is that there is no one, there is no presidential candidate that the Gen Zs are going to produce. But what is going to happen is among the presidential candidates who have brought them, who has come forth, the Gen Zs are towards the last minute. They're just going to settle on one of the presidential candidates. And I'm telling you, they will all converge and they will all support one of the presidential candidate towards the end of this towards the end of the campaigns. Yeah, so far we can't really say that they are also coming up together to speak together. No, what I know is that they know where they've came from. The pain is still inside their hearts, and they're going to pour out that pain when the right time comes.
Okay, thank you so much, Marco Bura, for taking your time. Maybe if we find time, we can talk about the Omogusi community, realizing that they need to unite. Yeah, I can remember that in the history when Simon Nyachae used to control the Omogusi, and now we are seeing Omogusi coming together, especially in a region whereby it's believed to be ODM strong zone. And this one will make ODM, if in case they rally behind their candidate, will make the bargaining of ODM to be much less as compared today it used to be, because when you see Simbarati, Onyonka, Matiang'i are coming together to consolidate their region, then that one tells you that the political scene is really, really changing in each and every day. For the people who have been watching us, our loyal viewers, we thank you so much for joining us. It's almost 1.5 hours you've been with us. We don't take it for granted. If you're new here or this is your first time in Brother Benson channel, kindly subscribe, as we will keep on bringing new guests and talking about various issues ranging from political to social life to development. So if you find a chance, and you get a notification, just don't go without listening to us. You can also engage us by commenting and asking questions. If there are those that we can give a response, we will. If there are those that requires research or contacting the expert so that we can get the good answers, we will always do that, because here we are here to give the valid information about our channel and about the conversation that we are having. Once again, thank you very much for taking your time to be with us here, and we appreciate you, and we say we love you. We can say good night wherever you are, good day, good evening, depending from which part of the country or which part of the world you're watching us from. Maybe Makobura, if you have 1 or 2 words to add on what I've said.
Okay, thank you. Me, what I can say is that as a people, as the citizens of the Republic of Kenya, we need to unite and just look at issues which are affecting us as a people, and then let's unite and make the right decision, whether it comes to the political move or making political decisions. Let us make them with a sober mind. And again, to our brothers and sisters who have joined us this evening, we are very much grateful as a channel. And if you're new, just like my brother said, kindly like and subscribe to the channel, because if you do so, of course, it's a way of supporting us and we'll really appreciate.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Makobura, and I see you next time.